Hello.
Welcome to the
That was an
show.
excellent intro.
Oh, hello, Sam. Sam's here.
Sam's already here. You don't look
Sam,
scary at all, Laura.
no, this is my way of saying I am ready for 2023 to go. See you later.
Bye.
And
We're so done.
I've got my 2024 glasses on. We're so pleased that there are folks already chiming in. Sam, thank you so much for being here. Rachel, thanks for being here. This is Unusual Fare. This is the Naughty or Nice episode. This is the episode with Nadine. Second time she's been on the show. Every time she comes and shows up on my show, I feel even more special and blessed. And we're talking about a topic that we co-brainstormed together.
Accidentally brainstorm together.
Well, we were brainstorming about other things.
Yeah. And this happened, guys. So,
Yeah.
yeah, typical. Hi, Chris. It's unusual to see you on a live. Rachel, I know this is late. Rachel's in Peru, and I get confused about her time zone. I want to say that it's like late for her,
Is it a bit
but
late?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Thank you for joining. It's lovely to see everyone that has come in, late or
Oh, yeah.
early.
Yes, welcome, welcome. And you're totally not late. We're just getting started here. We just finished chatting in the green room. Hopefully, everyone got a chance to listen to our vibey music before we jumped into our session. I am thrilled, as always, to present, and I hope I can present for the rest of time, you, my friend.
Are you always going to present me with this ensemble? Because
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know how seriously I'm going to be able to talk about this very serious topic.
Oh, we're going to talk about this both in a serious and unserious way. Um, Thank you so much, Rachel. It's only 6 p.m. for her. She's saying
Ah,
it's okay. All right, so she's fine. She's okay. She can hang for a little bit longer before. Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Rachel. And we're glad it's not the middle of the night for you. But without further discussion, it is Nadine Heir. She is the editorial director of my life. She is the content strategist of many people's lives. Nadine is the chief writing officer at I knew I was going to say White Wiser. Right.
I've been thinking
Right?
about renaming it for this reason. I feel like I stumble on it, and when I first landed on the name, I was like, for ages, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it. But then people kept telling me it was good, and I was like, everyone says it wrong. Everyone mispronounces it.
Well,
It's a tough
it's
sound.
tricky. It's very tricky for those of us to wrap our
Wrap our tongues
lips
around.
around right wiser. I would have to practice it quite a bit. I would have to practice it quite a bit before I got it right. Yes. So to tee this up even further, this was an organic conversation that you and I had. The topic today, it's naughty or nice, how we expect women to behave at work. I think that this title really sums up for me how firmly planted in cheek this whole conversation is going to be at times. Because really, even using the word behave feels like something we wouldn't say about men. Like how we're
Yeah.
meant to behave. Behave
That's
is such a
true.
pejorative
Yes.
in some ways, like you should behave. So
We'd only use it with children and,
women.
women. I use it a lot when I talk about myself, like, oh, well, I need to behave, but yeah, it's never a good thing. Now you said that, it's never said in like, oh, you behaved so well, like, unless you're
Unless you're a
5.
kid. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we invented this name. I mean, the name is really like, oh wait, sorry. I just wanted to show you that I brought another pair. Because
Yeah.
that's how ready for
Just in
2024
case.
I am. Excuse me. This is the
I
gold
know
pair
I said the green looked good. I like green, but I do think the gold looks better with your outfit. So,
with this
and
particular
seeing as we're talking about
ensemble.
it's your ensemble.
Yes,
It's how
indeed.
we're looking, and it's important because people are either going to take you seriously or not based on
Well,
whether your glasses match your necklace.
whether your glasses match your outfit. And one of the biases, there's a bias that women who wear glasses are smarter. There's a bias that if you wear glasses that you're smarter. So
And is
maybe
that only true for women? And then what about women who wear boa feather boas to work? What's the misconception about us?
are the boas attached to a live animal?
In which case, they're
Yeah.
very cool.
No,
And it makes me worship as
my thought
justice.
was that if I had these on, I could when we got serious, you could tell I was getting serious because I could start talking with my glasses
I'm
in my hand.
I might have to do that. Okay, confession time coming up. Like we're talking about how we look. I never talk about this. I often don't wear my glasses because obviously there's like a reflection, but
Yes.
also because when I get back on the video and I watch it back, my ears slash glasses are wonky. I don't know which one it is, but it has bothered me and nobody else for a very long time. So I feel like every video I'm in, I'm like this, you know. It's
Really?
just the most frustrating thing. So I take them off, even though now I can't see things. Put my contact lenses in. Um, but yeah, I was like, no, I'm gonna wear the glasses. It doesn't matter if they're wonky. People
They're-
will get it.
It's in your head.
It's in my head. It is.
I think
Almost
so because
certainly.
there's no wonk. I would have told you.
I mean, and your glasses were perfectly balanced. Okay, so I think.
If there was visible wonk, I would tell you
Thank you.
because that's just what friends do for each other. But no, I'm glad that we decided to pull the trigger. Yes, I agree, Sam. Sam says Nadine wears boas in purple Vans with flying Pegasuses.
Harking back to our story,
The
oh
fireside
goodness, what
chat.
did we call it? Fireside chat. Yeah, the
It was something
fireside
like that.
storytellers.
It was something
Exactly.
like that. I loved that. That was actually really, really fun. You guys should do that again.
That was Sam's idea, which I suggested we do it again, and Sam said something like, "We don't need to." I'll let her clarify that in the comments. But basically, I said, I think we should do this again because we keep calling ourselves the Firesiders, and they were like, "Nah."
Well,
So
that's too bad.
petition is out.
You'll be the next Moth story hour in no time if you're familiar with the Moth on NP. I love the Moth. Anyway,
I love a bit of NPR.
let's just give this crew what they came to hear about, right? Like let's do our table setting. I already told you and everybody who's tuning in how I planted my tongue firmly in my cheek by developing out this title, right? Like how we expect women to behave at work. The idea being like, let's reopen our eyes to the fact, I think what we had both maybe intended when we brewed up this nice concoction for everyone tonight, that the idea is maybe we need to do a little bit of reopening of our eyes to the fact that whether we want to admit it, we do, women and men and people who are identifying in a separate category, everybody has expectations of women and women identifying people at work. All of us do, including women.
Yeah,
We have expectations. Yes, we have expectations of other women. In fact, sometimes I think we hold them to a strange level of expectation as between women than we would normally, but or that men would, like we're even harder on each other or something. I don't know, but this is why we wanted to have the conversation, because there are still lots of expectations of women at work that we are probably contributing to ourselves as women, that are feeding biases that are continuing to have an impact on our paychecks. So, yeah, which is like that's the
And are
kicker.
we going to start with the question of, are women actually perpetuating this more than men, or do we just blame women more for doing it and men can get away with it?
I'm not sure that
Sorry.
I certainly do not. There is no practical way that women could be more responsible for this than men.
Yeah, I would
Right.
also, so I'm coming in with the non-science straight off the bat. I'm pretty sure
Well, I'm not trying to, this is
anecdotally
not,
women
by
are
the way,
not
no,
like more gossipy than men.
caveat is that this is not an anti-man show. This show is not
Very much not.
anti-man. No.
All we're saying is that women are better. No, no, it's not an anti-man show. We're not men haters. We just think women should run the world. No, I mean, like, I think everyone knows that I'm like an all and out feminist,
Yeah.
but for me, feminism means equality. So what I'm going for here is that we should be judged on something other than whether my glasses are wonky. I'm loving that Sandra's in the comments about this, but
Yes.
I feel like we do all judge people on what they look like, and there's a inherent like biological reason for doing that. But I think that, it's really good to talk about how, for some reason, and I don't think it's biologically, I'm pretty sure it's a societal expectation that's been ingrained in us, women are judged more harshly and in ways that directly affect our salary, which
Absolutely.
is important nowadays.
That is the table setting that I attempted feebly which you
No, you did good, but I made a bad joke in the middle of it and ruined it, so I had to rescue it. I'm sorry.
I don't even it does I didn't even consider it a bad joke. That's just how banter goes, right? Like in the clubhouse,
Bit
in
banter.
on the couch, on my couch, we banter. But no, I think you're right. And there's a number of different types of bias that we started talking about when we had our kind of pre-conversation about this that
Yeah.
I want to talk about. Um, but I do think that there was a bit of a good tee up from Hollywood for this conversation.
Yes.
In fact, I thought it was great and terrific not to be the person who's just like a total Barbie girl, but I loved Barbie. I thought it was great. The level of attention to detail, everything is beautiful, hilarious. I don't consider it a feminist movie. I know we talked a little bit about this. I think
Mhm.
people who assign too much weight to a movie about Barbie, are going to be disappointed.
Any movie, there's only so much impact any one piece of popular culture can really make on people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I also think that there's to me, the flavor of Barbie is girl power.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's like girl power. And
Very Spice Girls.
if you look for it to be just girl power, or not just, but girl power, then you'll find it very empowering and delightful. But if you look for it to be some kind of, fourth wave feminist, it's not going to work. Right. So you will be disappointed if you look at it from that standpoint. That said, I'm not sure our viewers are prepared for the very relevant, dramatic reading that we are going to be doing from the film Barbie.
They're not ready.
They're not ready for the dramatic reading. Now, if you haven't seen Barbie, if you're in the call and you're hanging out with us and you haven't seen Barbie, let me just quickly tee this up for you. Or perhaps, Nadine, since you reminded me about America Ferrera and Ugly Betty, why don't you tee it up? Let's hear it. Tee it up a little bit. You're on the
Well,
spot.
yeah, I was saying to LK how I don't know if everyone would have picked up on a lot of the subtleties because and I'm sure there were things that I didn't catch in the movie. Um, as is true with any film, film critics that are in the chat here definitely pop in what you think, whether like Barbie was like
Indeed.
a revolutionary feminist tale or I don't know. I thought it was a bit of fun. I thought it was pretty well done. It was quite nostalgic for somebody of my age. So I'm like heading into being an elder millennial, and I think Laura's not dissimilar. So we're kind of we're kind of we like. I mean, I made the Spice Girls reference, and I was like, I think she's gonna get this because Sam's excited. 2024. So we lived through the millennial bug. The world did not end. And there was some references that were really fun in the movie. So America Ferrera, I've been a fan of her for a while. Like she's done a lot of quite good I guess soap opera sort of things. So when I saw her and I was like, oh, I hadn't caught on, of course, because the leading lady overtook. Everyone was just fascinated with her. And then I'm actually watching the film and was like, it's Ugly Betty. I'm kind of like really warmly tingly that they chose Ugly Betty to play this role. I just felt like it was very poignant. And I did say to LK, it's not that America Ferrera is ugly at all. That was the character that she played at the time. She's a beautiful woman, but I felt like she represented like the everyday woman very well because not all of us can look like Barbie. That's real. And we shouldn't aspire to. So yes, Sam, we are going to do an America Ferrera speech.
Yes, and
Sandra, my God, original Barbies.
yeah.
Wow. You could sell those, I'm
Oh
sure,
yeah.
for so much, especially just after. Well, you wouldn't want
You
to
can
though.
sell them just after Nadine and I come over and play with their hair. If that's all
After we
right.
put them in different
At your place.
outfits. Yeah.
No, we are
Yeah.
yes, Sam, I love that you're supporting our dramatic reading this evening, which is again highly relevant to it is salient. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Salient
It is a word that fits here.
is
Yeah.
a word. Yes, that fits here. Um, salient to the conversation, which is the America Ferrera Barbie speech. And let's not forget, it takes a lot to be the America Ferrera. There is no plot to the movie without America Ferrera's character.
No,
However,
no.
she stands in the shadow of Barbie, of course, because the movie is named after Barbie and it's a movie about Barbie. But she does play this character that is intended to be sort of an every woman who's trying to have a great relationship with her daughter and do the right thing and go back to a better time between them. And so she's very relatable
Yeah.
character, like the perfect foil to Barbie, who is highly unrelatable, right? Like in almost every possible way. And they give the speech about what it means, what the movie is about. They give the speech about what the movie's about to America, which I think is
Yeah.
what to me makes it
It's
like
brilliant.
totally like Oscar worthy and amazing.
Yeah.
And I've seen the movie twice. I saw it once in the theater and I just recently rewatched it because it got released. And I was very much more engaged at home with this monologue because I could keep pausing it and thinking about the things that I wanted to unpack, and it just ended up being totally relevant to our show today. And oh yes, Happy New Year to you, Chris. Thanks for being here. Oh, I think Linda's, yeah, thank you. Chris and Linda, thank you. Yes, Happy New Year to you both. Indeed.
So
So without further ado, shall we?
yeah, I have my audience, so you guys can't see, but I have my audience sitting right here staring at me, wondering why I'm not petting her. So I've got 100% attention of my audience. So I'm going to do a dramatic reading to toast.
Excellent. And we're
I'll let you kick
sharing,
it off though.
yes, we're sharing this reading. Indeed.
Yeah.
When the spirit moves me to hand it to you, I will. But
Okay.
the
I'll feel it
content,
come.
I would enjoy if everyone could please appreciate this content and not for what it is, the words themselves, not my.
Not our rendition of it.
Indeed. But it is highly relevant. So here we go. Let's say it. So it is literally impossible to be a woman. You are so beautiful and so smart, and it kills me that you don't think you're good enough. Like we have to always be extraordinary, but somehow we're always doing it wrong. Because you have to be thin, but not too thin. And you can never say you want to be thin. You have to say you want to be healthy, but also you have to be thin. You have to have money, but you can't ask for money because that's crass. You have to be a boss, but you can't be mean. You have to lead, but you can't squash other people's ideas. You're supposed to love being a mother, but don't talk about your kids all the damn time. You have to be a career woman, but are also also have to be looking out for other people. And you have to answer for men's bad behavior, which is insane because if you point that out, you're accused of complaining. And you're supposed to stay pretty for men, but not so pretty that you tempt them too much or that you threaten other women because you're supposed to be part of the sisterhood.
But always stand out and always be grateful, but never forget that the system is rigged. So find a way to acknowledge that, but always be grateful. You have to never get old, never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never fall down, never fail, never show fear, never get out of line. It's too hard. It's too contradictory. And nobody gives you a medal or says thank you. And it turns out, in fact, that not only are you doing everything wrong, but also everything is your fault. I'm so tired of watching myself and every single other woman tie herself into knots so that people will like us. And if all of that is also true for a doll just representing women, then I don't even know.
Namaste, my friend. That was beautiful. We
No,
can't do America
thank you.
Ferrera justice, but I do think that
No.
by speaking her words, we conjure her into this conversation. And
I
also,
feel like she could have written that, like she's smart enough to have written that as well. That's also, that gave even more depth to the character, is that I know that she's smart. Ruth Hannah, the creator of Barbie, is incredibly smart. I think it was a nice tip of the hat to a lot of women who have towed the line in a lot of visual ways in being nice and presentable. But actually they were doing incredible things behind the camera and being very smart people.
yeah, just like Greta. Like this is,
Yeah.
she's been making move.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you, Sam. Yes, she's been. We'll do another reading another time.
We'll practice.
I do think we should do monologues more. I really think we should do monologues more. I think that would be
You and I, or people in
show.
general?
Well, just you and I, but also people in general. I think we should try to start reverting back to forms of entertainment that existed before anything digital. So like people used to read to each other.
I mean, people do that now. I do you not
Is
watch Stephanie Harlow on YouTube?
that? Who
She
is
like
that?
literally retells stories, of true crime stories. You know, it's very of the moment and trendy, and she like really tells very in-depth stories. And it's just her talking to the camera, and she's got this very long script that she's prepared. She does a lot of research for it, and she's just like, I just thought of it the other day. I'm literally just listening to somebody read stories for hours. They're long stories. They're not, but they're real life. But yeah, I listen to people tell stories, monologue stories all the time.
Oh, interesting.
And
Okay.
podcasts. So normally the podcasts I
Well,
listen
the
to are also
podcast,
like,
you're right. You're right.
yeah, yeah, especially I'm trying to think that. No, a lot of them are conversations, but the ones that I really like and I keep going back to are maybe just one person always interviewing somebody, but the majority of the time it's that one interviewee talking the whole time. That's a long monologue.
Yeah. No, it is. And actually, I don't know why I even said what I just said before because I listen to books on tape. Like I
Do
listen to
you?
Audible. Yeah. So I
Mm,
don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm
very
like,
cultured.
people
No,
don't read
you're very
each other anymore.
cultured. We don't sit in a room like in the living room and read to them. Maybe we should, but yeah, I don't know. I think, the power of a good story is always going to be important to us and it's always going to impact us. But I will definitely say that that monologue from America Ferrera or in the Barbie movie, it's a rendition of a few that have been done that really make the point that women are just like we're held to impossible expectations. Really it's not realistic everything like and essentially we're meant to achieve all these things without looking like we tried hard to do it. Like I want it to look like I'm tidying, I got ready for this, but it was effortless. But I don't want Laura to think that I didn't really make any effort. But I don't know, like how long did you take to get ready for this, for all of your podcasts? Did you think harder about this one because you were like, we're going to be talking about how we look? I was like, I actually don't want to look too much like I made loads of effort, but then this should maybe be the podcast where it least matters, where I should be able to come up in like a feather boa and it would be okay.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, that's such a great question. I am appreciative of your remark that like maybe this is totally not the right appearance to be like dolled up for. Get it, Barbie dolled up. Anyway, fine. That was yeah,
That's
yeah.
so funny.
No,
We made it. We had to get the joke in.
when I look at myself in the mirror when I have no makeup on and I have none my hair done and nothing, I just don't really want other people to see me that way. That's kind of like my reason, because I feel like I think it shows like how tired I am, and or it shows that maybe I didn't brush my hair as well as I should have, and it's kind of messy or
And what would
whatever.
it mean that you were tired?
But I think it's hard to expect people to go from starting to realize that they don't have to be, put themselves together to becoming Pamela Anderson on the red carpet at Paris Fashion Week, like with no makeup,
I love
which
that
was
you both, like, I don't know if you took that inspiration from Sam, but like that using that
what?
expression of looking put together,
Oh
but
no. Oh, she said, put
you
myself together.
literally
Yeah, put
said it
myself.
almost as her comment came up. And I
Oh,
know that the
weird.
comment she probably posted a while ago. Um, but that expression of looking put together, like why is that an expectation?
Yeah, I don't know.
Looking put together. It's another expectation. No, the reason I asked about you looking tired is because not scientific fact or evidence, but just an Instagram story that I saw the other day. It was just really funny. Like, why do we spend more money trying to show women sell women things, show them how to look less tired rather than trying to make women look less tired?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
yeah, you can see my bags. Like, yeah, so I could buy hundreds of products. I could get hyaluronic acid or fillers or something in here, but like,
yeah, because it's
why
big
why don't
money.
you sell me something that will make me less tired rather than like some cream or some
Well,
injectable?
and then there's drugs, but that's not a good alternative. No, I mean, I think it's big. It's always been big business to sell, looking better. Something that will help you look better has always been big business and making women insecure. Like, I got problems I didn't even know I had. You know, when I see ads come up, I'm like, oh, is that what? I need a laser for my neck?
I
I
know.
didn't ask for this.
Every time.
What's happening?
There's always something new that we didn't know was wrong with us. And I mean, it kind of all traces back in my mind to when Gillette that they realized that they could start selling razors to women, and women hadn't shaved their legs before that point. But they were like, dude, it's like 50% of the population you're not selling to. I'm sorry, Gillette, if I'm blaming you and this was not you, but you're the biggest razor brand. I've decided that Gillette did this. Yeah, they just decided we're going to start telling women that they should shave their legs because then we can then sell to the other 50% of the population
I would
who are
like
this
to speak
untapped
to the
market.
manager. I would like to speak to the manager, please. I would like to speak to someone about this because I want to know who was there had to have been some kind of social, it had to have, that idea had to have intersected with something like aesthetic that people were expecting of women to look,
Well,
right?
yeah, like the Victorian times when we all had to be very proper and posh, and women started giving birth lying on their back because that was considered more ladylike and incredibly medically inefficient. But so many problems with that time. Yeah, I mean, just like if we talk about the consumer and the cosmetic industry, which I know isn't the whole point of this show, but I think it's a good tee up.
Yeah, please.
A lot of the reason that like we're inculcated to think, oh, I have to shave my legs, I have to wear makeup, I have to look put together, but not like I'm making too much effort, as America Ferrera states in her beautiful monologue. All of these things that we think, it's because somebody was able to sell us something. You know, like no money no money is made if women become happy with who they are. And realistically, we're the biggest consumers of everything in the world. So not only are we buying for our husbands and our children and our fathers, we're the ones shopping for ourselves as well. So if you can tap into the market of women and sell them things to be like, oh, well, did you know that you can, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of like something recent, like, teeth whiteners.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can sell that to men. That's not specific to women at all, but a lot of the marketing is targeting women. And as somebody who's in the marketing industry, I can very much say that I'm so aware when I'm being targeted. It doesn't make me immune to it though. It doesn't mean I don't want white teeth.
No, I mean, I think it's very obvious sometimes when we're being targeted with certain types of advertising, which is a problem of a new era, right? Like, we didn't
Yeah.
grow up being targeted that hyper specifically with ads. So perhaps I mean, I, there's no comparison really. I mean, with what
No,
people are
compared to what we
facing.
grew up with,
Yeah.
no.
Oh my God. No, actually, there really isn't. But it's weird to think that there isn't. Makes me feel
Is
like
is
time is
that
going
true?
by
So
too.
best anti-aging is 64 billion. That's incredible. And
Oh, wow.
realistically, we're all gonna age. It's like, how can we reverse something that's literally gonna happen? It's literally gonna happen and there's no stopping it. It's like anti-dying.
Yeah. Well,
But
I think the thing for me is like it's just very personal. Like, I don't have a take on people who have gotten plastic surgery, but I will say that like I feel uncomfortable when I see someone like super young who's had a ton of plastic surgery, only
mm,
because I wonder if it was like necessary or if it was just like out of, because it's surgery. It's elective surgery. I mean, it's like getting surgery is a big deal. But we should probably move away from this topic, honestly, because I have a lot of other things in our show flow that I wanted to talk about, and I'm
we
sure
do.
that you're aware that I don't mean to kind of take a hard right turn away from it. I just want to
No,
that we get to some of the stuff that we included in our
let's do
premium.
it.
So yeah, I mean, I
Let's
think
do
this
it.
is because we joked around a little bit about this being like a debate between naughty and nice. You know, what's more successful in the workforce? Is it to be naughty or nice? To be the Grinch or Mrs. Claus? And the reason why we talked about this warmth confidence trade off,
Hmm.
warmth competence trade off being part of our discussion is like we were talking about efficacy in the workplace. Like,
Mm.
are you more effective if you display warmth? But when studies have shown that if you are a warm person, then it indicates that you are perhaps less competent versus if you are not a warm, sociable person. And women feel a ton more
Mhm.
pressure to be a warm, sociable person than men do. Like, women feel a ton more pressure to do that. I think that's not even. I don't have a I don't have a statistic behind that, but I just have to believe that's true.
No, but there are statistics that prove that we are more harshly judged when we're not likable. I don't know if warmth is the word that has been used, but I was talking just recently to my partner about this and comparing like the presidential candidates here in Mexico, not even the presidential candidates, just like the mayor of Mexico City.
Yeah.
It's currently a woman. She's very unlikable. And that's like a fact. So she's very
Okay.
unlikable. But there's another person from the other side, the right wing, who's also going now for mayor of Mexico City, but it's like the equivalent. And she's just like Boris Johnson, very unlikable. But they're very unlikable, but they are being judged very harshly. And I found it fascinating to see how journalists and the average man and woman on the street talk about these people, because I feel like we've had very unlikable mayors of Mexico City who were men in the past, and I don't remember it really being an issue. And now it's very much like Sandra Cuevas is like the mayor of the area that I live in, and she has clearly had, in my opinion, allegedly, a lot of plastic surgery, and she looks fantastic and good for her. But she's also in a political position, and she's critiqued so much for
Yeah.
it because she rides around on a little like 4x4, like telling business owners what they should do, and everyone's like, "Why is she going around on like her Barbie quad? What was the little Barbie car that she had? The little 4x."
Oh,
People have like compared her to that. And I was like, I just feel like this is really unfair. And she is perfectly dislikable. Perfectly.
what is okay?
Neither
So
one of them.
what is dislikable about? Like, tell me when you determine her to be dislikable,
Mm.
unlikable. What is what
Ooh.
are okay? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I feel put on the spot now. Judgy. So yeah, I'm judging her because okay, one thing. This is not something that bothers me, but I know it bothers a lot of people. Is the fact that she has a lot of plastic surgery, which makes us think that she cares a lot about what she looks like. She's not just naturally beautiful, but her opposition is not naturally beautiful either, and is also called a witch, and all of these things. But for me, what makes her unlikable is that she is quite arrogant. She is quite aggressive in the way that she speaks, and I think that makes her unlikable. Again, I think it would make a man unlikable,
Yeah.
but I don't think it would stop him becoming mayor of Mexico City.
Yeah. Yes.
Because according to like these studies, is as a woman, as a man, you can be unlikable. It's better to be likable, but you can be unlikable and still be considered competent and still get the job.
100%.
Whereas a woman, you have to be really good and also likable. If you're not likable, you're out.
I mean, I think it's like it's also what makes you likable to other women versus to men, which is
Also, yeah. And it is subjective. I know this is the thing, like we're talking about things subjective, like beauty is subjective,
yeah,
and we'll get into some of those stats, but all of these things we're talking about how other people perceive you, and it might be so different to how you perceive yourself.
yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
you might not think I'm not even attractive. They're not going to think anything of it. They're not going to think I got primped up, but like maybe they do, you know?
That's true. And that's the mind scramble of it all, I think, is like you don't know, right? I had a different word I was going to use for that, but I'm
Yeah,
trying to
Amber, I'm sorry. My knowledge of the terminology is very bad. She's mayor of like the delegation that I live in, which is like a few neighborhoods, but she's not mayor of the whole city. So it is kind of like London in that we have London and then London City. She is kind of mayor of Mexico City, but then Mexico City also extends to like 20 million people, and she's not mayor of all of that. So I apologize for not knowing the terminology, Amber. She's a little mayor, a small mayor.
She's a small man. She's a small
Alcaldesita.
man. Hey, I mean, this is like the ad. This is really actually great tee up for what the study that you brought into our conversation. This
Yeah.
the study that you
That kicked all
heard.
this off.
Yeah, yeah. Can you talk about the study for us? Because I listened and read the article because you sent it to me. But can you like impart for our because this actually I blame this study for our idea.
Yeah, we were trying really hard to work out how this all started, but I think it was a bit of banter and it ended up just being like, we went full into
We should
this talk. So yeah, well, I was telling LK about this NPR episode. It's a Hidden Brain episode that I listened to with Shaka Vedanta. I apologize for butchering his name. Beautiful, beautiful podcasts that he does. They're really good. And he always interviews like psychologists, psychiatrists, people who are in that space. And he interviewed Vivian Sayers and Stephanie Johnson, who are two psychologists or experts in the area of psychology. And they actually talked about quite a few studies in this podcast, which got me looking into these studies. But I think the one that I talked to you about was the femme fatale effect.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
probably didn't use those words because I've had to look it up since so that I can remember it. But I think what we talked about is that one of the books that Johnson wrote is that attractiveness is a liability for business women. And the reason it's a liability for us is that it affects the perceived truthfulness, the trust, and our deservingness of business positions, of termination, of whatever. So literally how attractive you are, and again, caveat, how attractive you're considered to the person making the decision is a liability for women, and it is not for men. That was the whole point of that book. Is like they gave many studies, many statistics, but the whole point was that it is not a liability for men. There
Yeah.
was some reasons to think that it would be better to be considered an attractive man, and that it would be better to be considered an attractive woman for some roles. And, I think we can all think of, being in sales or PR and things like this, where you're a lot of front-facing, client-facing jobs. There's a lot of benefits to be attractive. But as you rise up the ranks, and this is the case of a lot of qualities that we perceive in women, as you rise up the ranks, there's a glass ceiling where beyond this point, if you are attractive, it's a problem. But the attractiveness helps you get there. Same if you're a man, but you get to this point as a man as well, and they can continue to rise, and attractiveness doesn't negatively impact them in any way, but it does begin to negatively impact you as a woman at a certain point.
Yeah, it's interesting because you in our show notes for this, you put a note in here about the study saying we've been socialized to think that femininity or attractiveness is synonymous with lacking ability. So
Yeah.
it's like because you have to use this plays totally into what you just said.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I was reading something before we got on this about, and I'll have to pull up her name because she is a former CEO of IBM. This is Ginny Rometty, who I was reading about her. She went on to become the first female CEO of IBM in its 100-year history. And this is also an NPR story where she was talking to her supervisor about her role, and that he said, he was exhorting her to get into good physical shape if she wanted to become a high-level executive. So it's like, that's that one guy's preference.
So for her to get skinnier, he was saying that you need to, like, in good physical shape. Does that mean thinner?
Yeah, and
or does it mean stronger? Like, does it mean you need to be able to bench press,
lose
like,
weight? I think he was trying to say like lose weight.
exactly.
Yeah.
This is what I mean as well. It's like, what is physical fitness? That's you need to get into better shape. It's like, okay, but what shape specifically?
Yeah, what is that
I'm already
referring to?
round shape, and I'm very happy in this circle shape. No, I mean, like, it's just the way that we use this terminology. I instinctively know that if somebody says to a woman, as a woman says, I want to get in shape, what they mean is I want to be in a smaller body.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying I really want big shoulders,
Yeah, and okay, so Sam's weighing in here, which I'm so grateful for. She says, because we're programmed to believe that the beauty, yes, I agree. Yes, beauty versus brains ideology, and if you're pretty, you can't also be smart. Where does this come from? I don't even want to go back to our show flow. I just want to talk about, where does this come from that you can't be both?
There is, okay, so I recently read an article about this as well, and I apologize because we didn't prepare this, so I don't have the name, but there was an
No, it's
article,
fine.
yeah, and they were saying exactly this: you can't be pretty and smart. It's to do with, it's like why it's better to be ugly, the other side of beauty. So it's better to be ugly because people will look at somebody who's attractive, and we instinctively feel defensive and think they can't possibly have everything. They can't be beautiful and smart. But again, this is subjective, and beauty and smartness are they do not influence each other in any way. So
No.
there's nothing genetically, there's no reason why one genetic marker would cue up another genetic marker, but we do tend to think, oh, this person is in shape and has a good job and came from a nice family and their kids are well behaved, they can't possibly also be smart, because then we would feel insignificant as ourselves. Again, that is a theory. It's not the theory. I'd love to know what Sam thinks, why why we can't be pretty and smart. What about you,
It is
Elko?
it is a thing. I mean, I think it is a thing, and it's probably partly because there's an idea that if you're pretty, then you have what you have because of that,
Yeah.
not because you're great at this or, you were
Yeah.
better than the competition for this role or anything like that. It's
You
like you
worked
got what
harder.
you got,
Hmm.
right? You got what you got because you're pretty.
Yeah.
So you can't be
Yeah.
smart too, because to your point, like it's a scarcity principle, right? Like, and also I think we tend to think that the way someone looks on the outside means something about the way that they are on the inside, and there isn't any connection. I mean,
Yeah, and there isn't any connection. And again, it's subjective. You know, it is subjective. Sam is very astutely deciding not to go down a rabbit hole of
I'm glad
why
she's
she
bringing
thinks
it
we
up
can't be pretty and
though. Oh,
smart.
I keep
But
taking it.
yeah,
Oops. I
it's a
keep
good
taking my
segue. It was a
camera.
good tangent.
I know. I think she helped us get back to what we wanted to talk about, because I think that there's this like sense of in terms of what defines femininity, and this is the expectation part that we talked about talking about, is like what
Mm,
defines femininity in, you know, the workplace and what we expect from, because let's face it, we have tons of expectations about how women are supposed to act at work. Those of us who are purely trying to climb the ladder are going to mimic however their boss acts, right? Like just
yeah,
mirror that.
yeah.
Um, but I think that
And
we
statistically, your boss is more likely to be a man,
absolutely
so you're
100%.
emulating.
Yeah, and what define well, and so in the case that you and I had talked about, it was like if you act and behave in a more masculine way, I think that we had talked about that almost sets up like the appearance piece will not be considered a distraction as part of who you are.
Yeah, and I don't know if we talked about this, but I would like to talk about, you know, that idea of attractiveness and how you can counterbalance it. I think what we would like to come out of, we would like to come out of this live with is some like, should you try and be attractive? How should you behave? What's the right way to behave? We were already using that problematic word. But what Zayas and Johnson said is that yes, there are certain jobs where it's probably beneficial, not just CEO and CFO, you know, to look manly, but let's say in construction, or let's say you're going for a gardening job and you show up in, you know, in your necklace and your hair in a little bun and, you know, nice nails done and a pair of heels. It might in that situation be appropriate to actually call out, look, I showed up because like I'm a job interview. I'm not going to show up looking like this if you hire me to landscape your garden. And that's because those things are considered femininity and they might make you look less capable of the job. But then they put the same situation in, you know, like an office job where the majority of us work, because we all have office jobs nowadays. Very few of us are actually skilled workers. If I rocked up to an interview
Yeah.
and I was getting the impression that, oh, I think this man probably thinks I'm attractive, and I said, oh, I don't want you to think that my attractiveness makes me any less capable of the role. I'm work hard, as you can see on my CV, I have all these qualities. If he was if he was thinking that I was attractive, he's going to immediately want to undo that bias and he's going to
Yes.
go, oh no, I wasn't thinking that, but you've corrected it in his head. He's probably not going to say to you, yeah, yeah, I was thinking that you're probably too attractive to be qualified. You'll correct it in his head. But let's say he doesn't think I'm attractive and I've said, oh, I know I'm very attractive for this role.
Yes.
Like then this narcissist that came out and said like, I know I'm too attractive for this role, and like it doesn't. I still have an MBA. You know, not true, guys. But yeah, hypothetically, this
Yes.
is supposedly what you can do. But to be able to do that, you have to be able to
Yeah.
know if you're attracted to that person. And now we are getting back to biology.
Yeah.
Women, we are very bad at detecting when we're attractive to someone. Women always underestimate how many men we're attractive to and to what extent, and
Hmm.
men always overestimate how attractive they are perceived as.
Oh, we never perceive ourselves
No, it's like a survival thing. It's so that women have fewer partners, supposedly. But again, this science was created in a misogynistic society, so we
Yeah.
might still need to look back at that and see if that is scientifically still true. But there was a theory, or there
Yeah.
was, scientific basis to think that women want fewer partners, so it's less risky for us to assume that we're attractive, whereas men need to sow their seed, which again, we've always taken as a biological given, but it's actually probably rooted in misogynistic society, that
Interesting.
men would be more likely,
Hmm.
they need to biologically assume that they're attractive to a
Mm-hmm.
woman. Again, very heterosexual conversation here. I'm sorry for anyone that doesn't ascribe to either of these genders.
Oh, no, I
Um,
know, and I should have caveated this whole conversation with that. I'm glad you mentioned that. I should have I thought about just setting the whole table by saying, like, we're talking about very stereotypical gender type conversations in this conversation. Like, we're not if there are people who are non-binary or are trans or are just still deciding that, I'm sorry, that we haven't considered that part of the conversation, but really it was because it stemmed from two ladies venting about things
But
that
we
they
can
shared.
also very briefly cover that and say that if you
Indeed.
are non-binary, it's probably even more of a problem because people feel very conflicted if they are attracted to you and they're not sure what gender you are for them. Do you know what I
100%.
mean? Like they really need to know
100%.
what sex you are so that
Yes.
they can qualify in their head if it's okay or not. And that creates a lot of conflicting views for people and then more problematic situations for people. So again, attractiveness, I'm sure, is an equally problematic situation for non-binary people
100%.
as it is for women. Maybe we
Absolutely.
can lump everyone into this.
No, I mean, I think it's
Everyone that is a a cis appearing male presenting man.
Oh, absolutely. Or yeah, I mean, I think that I'm glad you encapsulated it that way because everybody is part of this conversation who has to deal with how they're being perceived. Everyone except for men,
Mm.
basically. Sorry. Whoops, did I say that loud? Um, so,
Did you say
so
the quiet bit out loud?
so Mandy says, ironically, in the US, though, acting appearing masculine also counts against you because various men favor women that they're sexually attracted to. If you're not slim, don't do high heels or skirts, you're not flirty, etc., you're deemed less qualified, regardless of your actual qualifications. Interesting. I think this is a sword. This is a double-sided piece of tape, I
Yeah.
think, is my initial take.
And it goes back to what this obviously NPR is from the US, so it is a very US centric source that we're talking about. It comes back to what Zayed and Johnson said is that that is true. That is true up to a certain limit, but there is a certain point in an executive's life or career cycle where it will become a problem eventually. So yes, it does help you maybe rise up the ranks in certain
Yes.
situations. Yeah, if you wear a skirt, if you're a bit flirty, supposedly. But how long will that be true? If so the femme fatale effect anyway, I don't know if we can talk a bit more about that, but it's also the idea that we tend to assume that women who are attractive, not only are they less qualified, but they're also underhanded.
Mm.
So I think you said already, no, that like we tend to assume that you got there because of the way you look, but also there's been in popular culture in film. So this is what I'm saying. Barbie can't undo all the wrongs in the world, sadly. But there's been so many films that have postulated, that's probably not the right word, but like given us this femme fatale effect of like a woman who her only objective in life is to be a problem for people and get what she wants. And it's always an attractive woman, even if she's like, wearing not very feminine clothes. Like realistically, she's slim, she's attractive. So we do have this perception as a society, and I'm speaking specifically for Northern Hemisphere, especially Anglo-Saxon cultures. We do have this idea that attractive women are problematic
Yeah,
in
and I
some
mean,
ways.
and there's and then there's the issue of the weight bias piece too, which I think is hugely important to recognize that it's like, you know, it's there's numerous studies that we've talked about. I brought up the one that I saw in NPR recently. I'll try to
Oh
post
yes.
these links. It's literally like the weight bias is real. For some reason, if you are overweight, you are considered less competent, especially if you're a woman. Like the weight bias
It is.
impacts women more than men. Age
Oh, it's
bias
shocking.
impacts women more than men. These things that are, ugh, I just keep, you know what? I keep kicking this camera. I'm gonna have to change my setup. I feel like everyone's gonna feel like
It's
they're in
okay. I mean,
the
like
moment.
with toast bouncing around on my desk, to be honest, you're lucky that my microphone is even still in front of me.
Oh
I'm
my
not
God.
judging anyone because like it's moving around a bit.
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm giving everyone like the rumble treatment. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think, we have a way of turning much of our judgments of people into judgments of just their appearance. Like we
Yeah.
evaluate people by their appearance, even though there's no connection between appearance and values or appearance and, morality, appearance.
I
But
don't
I
know. I'm gonna debate that because I would say that to a certain extent it does. I mean, like I was saying when I first came here, I was like, well, but when I was getting ready, I was like, obviously, like I want to look a certain way, I look professional. What does
yeah,
professional mean? We've been talking about low cut tops and stuff, but my main thought was, as much as it's very cold here and I want to be comfy, I don't want Laura to think that I just rocked up in my pajamas because I want her to show that I have respect for her show, for her audience. So I think that there is an element of at least looking put together, as we described, maybe not attractive, as being like this is a show of respect to the host. And
yeah,
contrasting that, my partner is very bordering on disheveled when he's not at work. Probably bordering. He's very disheveled. He's very casual, like super, super casual. And sometimes I feel like we're going out with friends. I feel like you should make more of an effort than you already did. And he's like, why? What does it matter? But in my head, I'm thinking people judge me very harshly on how I look. You're an extension of me. I need you to look a certain way so that I am perceived a certain way.
it's true.
So anyway, yeah, anecdotal evidence.
No, but still,
What?
there is no actual connection between appearance and like something like morality,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Like
exactly.
in
Yeah.
actuality, there is no.
It doesn't actually mean that he's not. He's one of the most hardworking people I know. But
It has
try
nothing
and,
to do with
you know,
anything.
vestle
It
him
has
into a tie, and it's like
it
it's
has
like trying to put
nothing.
a tie on a
Yeah,
cat.
it has nothing to do with anything, really. I mean,
It
it's like
doesn't.
it really doesn't. But and yet we still because it's easy. I think.
True. I don't know. Yeah, I think it probably reflects how you interact with the world. And again, like I'm
Yeah.
always looking at this through my little
Yes.
microscope or my spectacles of being a woman of I know how important it is. Oh, now I've just looked at my nails on camera. I read something the other day about like it's not just beauty bias, but also like the I'm gonna shout out Kat Smiley for maybe sending me this.
Yeah.
Nail like having your nails done bias. Like that women are treated better if they have their nails done. Okay. Did
I'm
you and I talk about this?
no, I don't think so. I'm just showing you my
No.
nubbins.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
get them done.
I
People treat you
used to get
better.
them done. I used to get them done all the time, and then I went into a, like, hard saving sprint. So then I
Hmm.
was saying, "Oh, I'll just do them
We're working
myself."
from home. Like I don't get mine done. I don't get that. It's just nail polish. But yeah, I mean, we're working from home. I would, oh God, I want to go back. I want to talk about everything all over again.
I
But
know,
like
same.
going
I
back
know.
to the weight thing, for
Yeah.
me, although you can still see that I'm white and I'm a woman and I don't know that I have red hair, like you can make certain judgments about me. I quite like the Zoom environment because then there's not the tall bias because you've no idea how tall I am unless I've told you. And the weight bias, I think from the neck down, you probably don't know how big or small I am. And I'm a lot bigger than I was before the pandemic. So that is for me. Sam, you mentioned like the word deservedness. I sometimes feel undeserving because of the body that I'm in at the moment. And I always wonder how that would have affected me if I was in an in-person job,
Hmm.
not like when I was qualified underweight when I was at WeWork because I was running
Sure.
around like a mad thing, like a headless chicken all the time. And I think it is very sad that we consider it this way because I would always say that when I was much skinnier and probably and perceived as looking much healthier, I was not mentally and not physically much healthier. Now my nails are stronger, my hair is better, my skin's better, I sleep better. So many things are healthy. And I again, I feel like as women, we're judged on this so much more harshly. I always wonder what it would have been like if I'd have been, going back to work with 10 kilos that I didn't have on before the pandemic.
No, I think we should talk about this on another couch session because I totally relate to what I mean, I think every woman has a story about how they've beaten themselves up to look a certain way when they go to work. Like twisted ourselves up to
Yeah.
look a certain way when we go to work, and it is in no way rational to expect people who go to the office and work all day and run around. I mean, you have to eat, and yet there's this thing about eating at work and that whole dynamic of being skinny and being a skinny woman at work. Like, there's this, and we perpetuate it certainly against each other, but there's a lot of built-in like do it all type things where it's like you have to be obviously working out for 2 hours a day and go to the office and I'm like, please. It's
Yeah.
never gonna happen.
If
But
I'm
no,
working out for 2 hours every single day, my hair, like I'd have to have it done I need another 2 hours to do my hair every day, and then I wouldn't have time to do any work. So I wouldn't be
and
very hardworking. Pick
literally, and
one, society, choose one.
exactly. And like wish they would, because frankly, I do my own hair and makeup, people. So this is very stressful for me.
If you can't tell, we both do our own hair, in case that wasn't obvious to everyone. I
Um,
feel like we're getting no closer to a like what is the right way to look and behave.
no, we've gotten no closer, which only means that we need to bring this to another conversation. I think you're saying
Conclusions in another day.
think about it. Think about whether we want it. We've had people who have joined us for this entire time. They have
I
given us a
know.
full hour of their
Mandy,
time.
Sam.
We've got Sam, we've got Mandy, we had Sandra, we had Amber. We've got lots of folks who were
Chris.
participating. We had some
Thank you,
people,
everyone.
yes, Chris, yes, who were listening, some people chiming in. But I think we've had at least enough of a conversation to set us up for our next conversation about why are we expecting all the women to twist themselves up into crazy shapes all the time? Doesn't make any sense. We should have a conversation next time about all the ways that we're expected to appear in terms of what we wear and how we talk, how we write our emails, literally everything. And yes, Sam, only queens do their own hair and makeup, really. Like, I'm in that
It just
group.
shows we have an extra talent.
I just
Yeah,
have to
another skill
say,
men don't have to learn.
I I really don't want to have this time go by without having Nadine shout out her course. I'm so
Ah,
excited that Nadine joined me on the show today. Nadine, you are brilliant. We opened up more cans of worms than we had time to unpack and revisit, but you are just the most lovely, the most brilliant. And I say lovely not in only the physical sense, but also in the sense of your humanity. Please tell the folks on the call who are still here, we've got some people left, what you are doing to help make their lives better. Let us hear your offer.
thank you. I will shout out Mandy is joining me in January on what I'm about to say, which I'm thrilled to see her here. So she can get used to how I talk, my voice, and everything. I have one spot left on Command Your Content in a Weekend. I'm capping it so that everyone gets a really good experience, because that's what I want. This is what this needs to be, an amazing experience for everyone. Amber, you're very welcome to show up to Command Your Content with no makeup on. No makeup, full glam. I don't mind, that's no problem. But if anyone would like to join, it's $97 for a weekend, which means 2 hours, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I've got a couple of sessions so you can pick a time zone that's more appropriate for you, and I'm going to help you learn from content marketing 101 to actually applying it and making it work for you. So please show. Again, I can't promise that I will look lovely, but I will try and pass you some lovely insights. But LK, she always makes me feel so kind. I feel like I'm an even nicer person on these lives than I am in real life with her, because she is beautiful inside and out. And let's judge her for it in a good way. Let's give LK all the applause that she deserves and all of the recognition that she deserves for being both those things.
Oh, thank you. That's too kind. Also, this is a full face of makeup. So, but as I kick my
I've
camera
seen you without though.
one last
You
time
just
for
need to
good
fix the
measure.
nubs.
I know, I need to fix the nubs. Everybody, if you are interested in learning more from Nadine, please DM her. just because she's got only one seat left in the course doesn't mean she doesn't want to talk to you. It doesn't mean she doesn't want to be part of your content journey. There's a lot to be learned out there. You don't want to do this alone. She is the Sherpa who guides me every day. So if you think that what I do on LinkedIn isn't any way
no.
good, and it's going to get a lot better soon, but if you think that what I do on LinkedIn isn't any way good, you can thank Nadine for it. Bow down to my queen of the content. Thank you so much for being with me here today. I have loved having
Thank you.
and I can't wait to see you here again soon to talk more about these crazy times.
Yeah, we've left it on a cliffhanger. Thank you so much, LK, again. Thank you, and cheers to everyone who showed up.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.